Today's poetry discussion may make you think about your introvert friends differently, and if you are indeed the introvert of the group, you might have a different understanding of just who you or yous are. Welcome to Strip Coverlet, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Ford, and we are here for another poetry discussion, which takes us to the pages of George Gordon Byron. Today's video will appear in the poetry discussion playlist here on the channel, now approaching 700 videos strong. And boy, have we got a weird one for you. The poem is titled There is Pleasure in the Pathless Woods by George Gordon Byron, and it reads as such. There is pleasure in the pathless woods. There is a rapture on the lonely shore. There is society where none intrudes, by the deep sea and music in its roar. I love not man the less, but nature more. From these our interviews, in which I steal from all I may be or have been before, to mingle with the universe and feel what I can never express, yet cannot all conceal. Seems that's a Byron poem, right? Seems fairly innocuous, right? Well, maybe. Um, this line here really is sort of strange, isn't it? There is society where none intrudes. You know, they say introverts are drained being around people. They feel alive when they're on their own, the same way that extroverts feel drained when they're on their own, but they feel alive when they're around other people. Introverts are most alive by themselves. Now, as someone who is very deeply introverted, I can attest to this. There is pleasure in the pathless woods. There is pleasure where there is no one. That might seem a foreign idea to some. For me, it would seem a strange idea to insist that there is some way to enjoy the company of others. I don't think it's there. But I think that's a lot of what this poem is about. The idea of the introvert going off on his own, going off on his own way in order to feel most alive. This poem is, I think, readily identifiable to an introvert. But that line, there is society where none intrude, still, it's kind of weird. This is about introverts, right? All of these sort of ideas on the page about introverts going off on their own, enjoying things that way. Hey, you know what's strange about the ideas, the metaphors that are picked here by Byron? Pathless woods, the wilderness. That is a metaphor as well for the subconscious. That's strange. The mystery of the subconscious. The lonely shore. Okay, the lonely shore of the deep sea. This is, again, a metaphor for the subconscious. You're going alone, you're going out to the sea to be alone. I get it, but golly, that sure is a metaphor for the subconscious as well. And really, if you want to get into it, the universe, our connection to the great nothingness, the great abyss. But is it nothing? Is it abyss? Or is it simply mystery? If it is mystery, then really what you're looking at there is another symbol for the subconscious. But why would we be talking about the subconscious and introverts? It couldn't be that these two things are all that particularly linked, are they? Hey, you want to hear about something funny from history? Science history? The behavioralists' history? Something funny from the annals of psychology? Have you ever heard of the split brain phenomenon? Well, allow me. The split brain phenomenon refers to the effects seen in patients who have had their corpus callosum, this right here in your brain, the bundle of nerve fibers connecting the two hemispheres of the brain, surgically severed, usually to treat severe epilepsy. This procedure, called a corpus callostomy, prevents the two hemispheres of the brain from communicating. So you sever this side of the brain from this side of the brain, and they just don't get to talk back and forth very efficiently. What could be so weird about that, except for the fact that you're drawing a knife through your brain? Well, there were some weird things that happened as a result. Key findings from the split brain research: each hemisphere has separate functions. Okay, well, we can understand that. The left hemisphere is dominant for language, logic, and analytical thinking. The right hemisphere is better at spatial awareness, intuition, and facial recognition. Now, part of the struggle that comes up from this is that the right side of your brain, does a lot with the left side of your body. The left side of your brain does a lot with the right side of your body. So when you're splitting this and you're keeping this from talking to this, things can go kind of haywire. In split brain patients, these functions remain intact but operate independently. One side of the body doesn't know what the other is doing. Since the left hemisphere controls the right side of the body and the right hemisphere controls the left side, they act separately. Example: a patient draws something with their left hand but can't verbally describe it because they are drawing with the left hemisphere. Because they are drawing the left hemisphere, language doesn't have access to the right hemisphere, what the right hemisphere sees. Creeped out yet? The left hemisphere makes up explanations. If the right hemisphere sees an image, but the left hemisphere doesn't, so you're covering one eye, and this eye is seeing it, this eye is not, the patient might invent a false reason why they responded to that stimulus. This suggests that the left brain fabricates or rationalizes to maintain a sense of coherence. So if you cover this eye and you tell this hand, you're telling this eye to pick 3 cards that match a separate card. Okay, well, it's a barn, and we're picking out the picture of the chicken, the picture of the egg, and the picture of the cow. Now you cover this eye instead, and maybe you switch out that picture of the barn. You switch out the picture of the barn for a grocery store. And now all of a sudden, this eye has to explain what it believes this eye did, even though this eye doesn't know you pulled the switcheroo with the card. And that part of the brain will make up reasons. It will lie for you. Your brain is different people. You have no conscious idea of what the other hemisphere of your brain is doing while one is active. Let me tell you a quick little personal story. I do this a lot. I talk into the camera a lot, make a lot of videos, right? Some you will never see. I do other things, other places on the internet. And one day, I woke up making a video. That's right. I was so tired from going to work and walking 10 miles and working out and coming back and reading, then making a video, then making a second video for a different channel, X, Y, and Z, that I came to consciousness while speaking my way through a video. I finished that video and then took it to the editing department on my computer, whatever you want to call it, the editing software. And I said, okay, we're going to see what happened here. You couldn't tell. Somewhere in my body, somewhere in my brain, my consciousness was on autopilot and was talking about Jacques Derrida. And I just kept on going, baby. What a trooper. I say that to make this point. This poem and the ideas in it, we're talking about introversion, but we are using the symbols of the subconscious. And Byron lays this on us. There is society where none intrudes. Are those of us who are introverts, are those of us who are introverts really going off to be alone? Or are we simply consorting with the other us? When we find ourselves in deep thought, when we find ourselves laboring away at some attempt at mental acuity, are we really alone? Or are we in those moments really deeply in conversation with the other half of our own brain? Perhaps introverts are not drained by other people. Maybe we just prefer the company we know as ourselves. That other side of our brain, that other bit of our consciousness that is the subconscious. That is all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. There's poetry every Monday, and I hope to have you back for the next one.